Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 386th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Straight away you'll see that this battle was fought on the flat grassland maps. Okay, right, our first teammate is RTW player Scorpion King SR, who is, a lot of you will know, is a veteran of RTW, and like myself, he's been playing Rome Total War since it first came out. Okay, it's an interesting army build. Remember, Scorpion King has got no saved armies. He builds armies from scratch for every single battle that he plays. He just looks at the factions on the other team and then builds custom armies to try and beat them. Okay, straight away you'll see that he's got 6 auxiliary Roman archers there. And if you look at the upgrades, you'll see they've got some serious upgrades on 8 upgrades. So that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Okay, so those archers are quite serious there. 8 upgrades, so as I say, that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So that's some serious firepower he's got there with his archers. But infantry wise, I see he's only got 8 infantry. Okay, now 8 infantry for the modern day battlefield I think is quite a small amount of infantry there. If you have a look at the upgrades, can you see he's got 7 upgrades? So he's got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. On most of his infantry units there, but I see on a couple of his infantry units he's just got gold shield, gold attack, which I presume would be his pilot shield units. Okay, so 8 infantry, 6 archers. As I say, if you see there, he's got an eagle unit, so he's got that bit of extra morale there with the eagle unit. And of course he's got his infantry general. So with the eagle unit and the infantry general there's a lot of morale going on there, but still only 8 infantry. As I say, that is quite a low amount of infantry for the modern day battlefield. I see he's got 6 cavalry. Let's have a look at the upgrades on this cavalry. Okay, he's just got 6 upgrades, so that's just gold shield, gold attack. So that is an unusual army build there, and it'll be interesting to see how well it does during the course of the battle. That looks to me like probably an attack army there that he's bought. So our next teammate is Brotherhood member Trajan, who has bought the Greek faction. Let's see. I think he's got about 14 or 15 spear units there. It looks like about 15 spear units. I think he's got mostly Spartans. Yeah, you can see he's got Spartan. So he's only got 3 upgrades on those particular Spartan units, which is probably just gold shield. And he's got an armoured hoplite unit there, which probably will be part of his pilot shield unit there. So to say, he's got 15 spear units, most of them Spartans. Remember, those Spartans got 2 hit points, excellent morale, and great specifications in general. And I see he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 5 long-range Cretan archers. Okay, so he's got 15 infantry, 5 Cretan archers, no cavalry. Remember, Greek cities don't have any decent cavalry to bring. So when you choose to bring Greek cities, straight away you put your team at a cavalry disadvantage. Okay, so because you've put your team at a cavalry disadvantage, you must make the best use that you can of your elite infantry. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see how well Trajan does during the course of the battle. Our next is Brotherhood member Mystique, who has bought the Rome Julio faction. I think Mystique's got 4 archer units. Now Mystique usually upgrades those units really well. Yeah, you can see 8 upgrades. So 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. And there you go, that particular archer unit is fully upgraded. 3 stripes, gold shield, gold attack. As I believe the 2 at the back are as well. Fully upgraded archer units there. So that's some serious power that Mystique has brought to this particular battle. And I see, yeah, 4 there, 4 archers there, and 2, 4, 6, 8. And 12 infantry. Okay, 12 infantry, 4 archers. Quick look at the upgrades on the infantry. Yep, just gold shield, gold attack. And then 4 cavalry units there. Okay, so 12 infantry, 4 archers, and 4 cavalry. And the cavalry have got 7 upgrades. So you've got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on that cavalry. Okay, so that's quite a good balanced army build there. Be interesting to see how well it does during the course of the. Okay, and our last teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who has bought the Rome Julio faction. And yes, I've just got my old, very, very old Roman army of 12 infantry and 6 cavalry. Always like to see old armies do on the modern day battlefield against good players. This should be a great one for you to Okay, at this stage of the battle, I thought we'd have a look at the positioning of Scorpion King SR's army here. Right, straight away you'll see he's right on the red line, okay? So that is a sign to me that he's ready to attack. Remember, Scorpion King, a very aggressive, out-and-out attacking player. Retreat, defense is something really not in his vocabulary. And as you can see here, by the way he set up his army there, that is an attack army ready to attack. Right on the front red line there, ready to charge at the enemy as soon as the battle opens. So it should be interesting to see what happens there. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Bark, who's bought the Carthage faction. And your players for Rome Total War. Can you see the dark area on the map in comparison with the lighter area? Okay, the dark area is long grass, where you can hide your troops. And that's why you can't see a lot of Bark's army there, because they're hiding in the long grass. Okay, but if I remember from memory, I think he's got something like 17 spear units and 3 light cavalry units. You can see there the round shield cavalry. You don't see these bought to with Carthage very often. They're fast moving light cavalry, very good for taking out archers or hitting into the rear of tired or exhausted troops there. So I think if I remember right, he's got 3 of those round shield light cavalry and 17 infantry spearmen there. Okay, their next teammate is a Brotherhood member, Aurelius, who has bought the Rome SBQR faction. And straight away you'll see that he's got 5 archer units. Yeah, 5 archer units there. And he's got 6 cavalry. Have a quick look at the upgrades on his cavalry. Okay, you can see he's got 8 upgrades. So that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Now we know that Praetorian cavalry are elite in their own right, but you put 8 upgrades, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack on them, and that kind of makes them super elite. So you could be looking at potentially battle winning cavalry there. It'll be interesting to see how well that does during the course of the battle. And I see he's got I think it's 9 infantry there. Once again, that's quite a low amount of infantry for the modern day battlefield. 9 infantry. And if you notice that 2 of those are eagle units. Now, okay, it's good bringing eagle units for the extra morale, and he's also got an infantry general, so there's 3 lots of morale going on there. But remember, those eagle units are not really a good match for urban cohorts. Okay, so in the course of the battle, he's going to have to keep those eagle units and, of course, his general out of the battle for as long as he can, because, as I say, those eagle units will be beaten by a good urban cohort unit. So, in effect, if you take out the eagle units and the general units, he's only got 5 infantry that he could put in, well, 6 infantry that he could put in right from the beginning of the battle. Bearing in mind he has to keep those eagle units out for them because they will lose against urban cohorts. Okay, so that's an interesting army build. Be interested to see how well it does. Okay, their third teammate is RTW player who's called himself Deathclaw, but I think a lot of you will know him as Cornovi. Okay, and he's bought 8 archers there with gold shield, gold attack. Now remember, these chosen archers are really tough archers, okay? They got good long range, they do a lot of damage, and when they run out of arrows, they're good light infantry. They're that tough. Okay, so chosen archers are pretty good, and that's 8 of them, so he's going to cause a lot of casualties to archers. I see he's got 3 spear warband units there, okay, with gold shield, gold attack on. Now, of course, these guys have got a bonus against cavalry, but their morale is pretty low. And you don't see many modern day players bringing those units. Okay, now just look at this clump of German units here. Now, to start off with, look, can you see? It looks like it's just cavalry. But this is a bit of old tactics, and I think we've talked about this in other battle videos. If we look closer into his Gothic cavalry ranks there, okay, you could just have a glance and think, oh, he's just got his cavalry there. Okay, but as I say, if you look a bit closer, you'll see that it's just not cavalry there. He's actually hiding his berserker units. Okay, now this is old tactics because years and years ago players used to hide their berserkers in with the cavalry, hoping that the enemy might not notice the berserkers were there, and then all of a sudden the berserkers would go berserk and the enemy wouldn't be expecting it. So that's an old school tactic there of hiding the berserkers within the cavalry. Okay, I think he's got 6 cavalry there, 5 or 6 cavalry there, and the berserkers hiding within them. Now remember that Gothic cavalry, very good cavalry in its own right, very underestimated cavalry, but if you look at the specifications, they're pretty good. And I think something like either 7 or 8 upgrades on those cavalry. So that's a pretty good hiding place there for the Germanic troops. But as I say, it's an unusual army build because usually you like to bring chosen axemen and knight raiders, which he hasn't bought there. Okay, and their 4th teammate is an RTW player called Aaron. Now, I don't know much about Aaron. But I can see by the way he set out his army, he knows what he's doing here. And I think he's got the 2, 3, 4. He's got the bog standard 30 army, which is 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. Now remember, the reason this is the bog standard most popular 31k army is because it's very effective and very efficient. And that's why it's obviously used the most. 14 and 6 cavalry. So any newer players for Rome Total War that want to build a 31k Roman army, there's a good army for you to see. Should be a great battle. Okay, right from the very start of the battle here, you can see Scorpion King SR moving his troops forward towards the enemy troops. As I say, Scorpion King's always been an aggressive, out-and-out attacking player. Retreat or defense is not something that he kind of uses very easily. It's always attacking here, and as you can see, he's moving his infantry and archers towards the enemy team there. You can see that he's actually moving towards the enemy SBQR army there, but don't forget there's also the enemy Carthage army there as well. If you notice, Trajan's brought over 4 of his Spartan units there to support Scorpion King. So that's a nice bit of teamwork. Let's just pause the game for a second. So to say here, he's moving forward there with his army. I'd just like to show you the defense tactic here of Trajan with his archers. Can you see he's got 3 Spartan units there guarding his archers there against a possible cavalry attack. Okay, so that's a nice defense of his archers there with those 3 units. Oh, obviously, hopefully he'd be looking for help from his cavalry allies there as well if he was attacked by enemy cavalry. They're trying to take his archers out. But meanwhile, back to the right flank here, as I said, you can see Scorpion King moving forward here with his archers and infantry towards the enemy SBQR army there. Now what he'd like to do is take his cavalry units forward there and try and take out those SBQR archers if he could. But as I say, with the amount of archers that's been brought to this particular battlefield, you're going to see a lot of archer exchange going on here. There's the enemy SBQR archer unit there. As you see, he's suffering a lot of casualties from Scorpion King's archer units there. Let's say in the old days of Rome Total War, we always used to bring archer units, and we kind of always used to have an archer war before the main battle started. I don't know why we used to do that, but that's something that we always used to do. And I see with the re-emergence of archer units being brought to the 31k battlefield, I see that starting to happen again. Very often we do have archer battle, the main battle starts. Right, can you see Mystique bringing in a couple of cavalry units in wide formation there to try and hit those SBQR archers. Nice aggressive attacking move there by Mystique. Still keep going for those archers, but can you see that the SBQR general has spotted that and has moved his infantry forward there to cover his archers? And my guess is Mystique will back that cavalry off. Yep, wise move there. Back the cavalry off there. It was a nice aggressive thought there to take out those SBQR archers with those cavalry units. But the SBQR general spotted that and moved the infantry forward to support his archers. Okay, so you can see here there's actually on this flank. There's the Carthage army and the enemy SBQR army against Scorpion King. Plus, if you notice, the Germania generals brought all his archers over here. Plus, I think there's some Germania cavalry possibly over there as well. All looking to engage Scorpion King here on the right flank. Now, if you notice here, can you see that Scorpion King's Julia army is a long way away from his allies? You know, he's possibly in danger here of being isolated on this right flank and facing as I say, the enemy SBQR armies, the enemy Carthage armies, and all those Germanic archers there. And notice here, can you see he's not making the situation any better because he's pulling away from his allies once again. Can you see Scorpion King pulling away from us there over on this right flank? Okay, so as I say, he's moving away from his allies there, and he's facing potentially 2 armies. So he must be careful. He's isolated at this stage of the battle. Okay. Meanwhile, over on the other flank there, you can see the Cretan archers there will be shooting into the moving troops, the enemy moving troops there, causing them casualties moving. That's what probably Trajan will be doing there with his cavalry. Okay, but meanwhile, over on this right flank here, as I say, Scorpion King moving away from his allies there, which he's done. As I say, he could get a little bit isolated here on this right flank. And he's certainly drawing enemy units over towards him here, because obviously the enemy can see that he is a little bit isolated and could be a ripe target to be hit by those 2 enemy armies there. Okay. So as I say, Scorpion King's going to have to be very tactical. Say, you see him pulling his infantry back a little bit already there, seeing the danger of those two enemy armies there. So as I say, I think the battle may well kick off on this right. Okay, so at this stage of the battle, you can see that, let's say, Scorpion King here using his archers to good effect, shooting into the enemy, probably looking to take out the enemy archers, or maybe even shooting into the flanks of moving enemy infantry there. Okay, newer players to Rome Total War, I'd just like to show you this. This is what we call a glitch. Okay, now this is where your army, all of a sudden when you move it, units spread out all over the battlefield. It's something that happens to all of us from time to time, and we call it a glitch. But the main thing to remember there is if you see an enemy army glitch, you just pull your troops back. You make no attempt to attack them. As I say, attacking glitch troops is very unsportsmanlike, and will probably end up with the with that player that you've attacked leaving the game. The host will terminate the game, and when we go back into the lobby, if you were the one that attacked the glitched army, you probably won't be asked to join the new game. Okay, so as I say, all of us from time to time get glitches like this with our armies spread out, but luckily for this particular guy, his army is spreading out at the rear of his own troops, so they're not going to run into any of our troops and be killed accidentally or anything like that. So the glitch will clear up. Sometimes they clear up quite quickly, sometimes they clear up a bit longer, but as you can see there, can you see the units are starting to knit back together there? So they're actually the glitch is actually cleared up there. But as I say, I just thought that was a good example. If ever you've heard the mention of glitch, that's what it was, where your troops, your units tend to spread out all over the battlefield for what seems to be no reason. Okay, can you see here, I'm looking to bring my Julia army around the flank here and attack the enemy flank. So I'm looking to attack the enemy Scipii army there. But meanwhile, all the time here, you can see that Scorpion King over on the other right flank of ours is, as I say, looking more increasingly isolated there, with the and the enemy troops have spotted that. But as I say, you can see Scorpion King moving his troops forward. You can see our Greek cities ally, as I say, has put over 4 Spartan units there to support Scorpion King. But you've got a lot of enemy movement over on this right flank. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Right, can you see those couple of Julii cavalry units there? Looks like Mystique's going to charge to those Sacred Band. That was an unusual thing to do, because we know that all spear and pike units have got anti-cavalry bonus. I think trying to angle in on the flank of those spear units there is what Mystique was trying to do, but actually, if you notice, probably hit more forward there than in the flank. So that's always a bit of a danger doing that, because, as I say, all spear and pike units in this game have got anti-cavalry bonus. So those 2 units probably could even be routed there with not a lot of gain. Let's just pause the game for a second. You can see here, you can see all the SPQR cavalry, Germania cavalry, SPQR infantry and Carthage infantry here, all kind of bearing down on Scorpion King's Julii army there. Okay, so as I say, he is being quite isolated there. You can see further on up the battle line there, Mystique is attacking with Julii troops there into the Carthage Sacred Band. And as I said before here, I'm looking to do a right flanking action with my infantry here against the enemy Scipii troops. Okay, so there's a general overview of the battle at the moment. But as I say, I think our right flank is the thing that causes concern at the moment. Lots of enemy troops, as you can see here, attacking our Julii ally. It might be a good idea for Scorpion King to move his infantry and cavalry over towards us for a bit of support here. Right, can you see enemy SPQR cavalry are now attacking Scorpion King's Julii cavalry here. Okay, Scorpion King, rather than run away, look, is now attacking with his cavalry. Okay, let's just pause the game for a second. So as I say here, Scorpion King now is fighting with his Julii cavalry. He's fighting the SPQR cavalry. As I say, you've got a lot of enemy troops here going in on his infantry. Now remember, he only had a small amount of infantry anyway, so he's going to be greatly outnumbered. And remember, there are berserkers within that Germany formation there, ready to charge in. You can see the Germania spearmen there attacking some units. Over here you can see Mystique's Julii troops attacking the Carthage troops here, but nice move there by Bark. See how he's got a couple of his spear units attacking the flank and rear of those attacking Julii troops there. that's a nice attacking tactic there. You've got Greek cities units out at the rear there. As you can see, there's a lot of archer fire going into the enemy, and as you see here, you can see there's some infantry there attacking my my Julii infantry. But also, can you see here that Scipii cavalry charge into my cavalry, and bang as it charges in there. So as you can see there, you can see my cavalry now fighting the Scipii cavalry. That's a lot. Just like to draw your attention. See that the Scipii general is using his light spears. He hasn't alt attacked, so he's only using his light spears in the battle here. But if you notice, I've alt attacked and is fighting with my heavy swords. Now remember, the heavy swords do more damage than those light spears or light lances. So the chances are here, I'm thinking that because I've actually alt attacked here, there's a good chance I could beat the Scipii cavalry there. Okay, but meanwhile, over on our right flank here, just to show you that I think all of Scorpion King SR's cavalry has now been routed. Okay, so all of Scorpion King's cavalry has now been routed, and our right flank is in incredible danger of being broken here. Okay, remember, Scorpion King only had a small amount of infantry anyway, and he's being engulfed by enemy cavalry and infantry. Plus, I see that the Germanic general has now activated his berserkers. Okay, so all of Scorpion King's troops now will be inted by units there, those berserker units, and the morale will drop of those troops, and they're very, very susceptible to routing. I see our Greek cities allies got some spear units in behind, which you'll probably try and help him there. And also you've got all this big clump of Germanic archers there in close formation. That's going to do a heck of a lot of damage when they get shooting. But as you can see here, this is nice bark attacking Mystique's infantry there. And there's a lot of fighting going on over here on our left flank and left centre. But as I say, here you can see I'm still fighting the enemy Scipii troops there, and Trajan sent a spear unit over to help as well. Nice bit of teamwork there by Trajan. But as I say, there's a massive cavalry battle going on here, and I think whoever wins this cavalry battle could do well on this flank, because obviously we could then get in behind the infantry, the enemy infantry, and then smash into the rear of them. So as you can see here, you can see how aggressive I'm being with my infantry attacking that Scipii general. There's a general overview of the battle straight across there. As I say, Scorpion King is being engulfed by enemy troops, those berserkers as well. Trajan's bringing his Spartan units forward there to support Scorpion King. But as I say, our right flank not looking very good there. Right, you can see my cavalry did manage to beat the enemy Scipii cavalry there, and I'm now charging into some of these Scipii infantry and archer units here. And what I'm going to do now is smash into the rear of those engaged infantry. See those engaged blue Scipii infantry? I'm looking to smash into the rear and flank of those as my cavalry hits them. Bang! They smash into the flank and rear of those Scipii units, routing them almost on impact, taking my cavalry on through my own infantry there, trying to take out as many Scipii units as I can. Okay, let's just pause the game. Okay, so we've taken out a lot of the Scipii troops here, including the Scipii general. Okay, our Greek cities ally is pushing into the enemy Scipii troops as well as Mystique. I've sent a couple of my infantry units over there as well to attack those Scipii units. So here on our left flank we're doing well. Okay, our left centre here up against Carthage, we're still fighting there. So we've done well on the left flank there. We've got some of our our Julii archers shooting into the enemy. But over on our right flank here, you can see that basically now all of Scorpion King SR's unit, I think, have now been taken out. Okay, after a fierce fight. Oh no, we might have one unit left, one infantry unit left. But over here on the right flank, after a fierce fight, most of his units have been taken out. And as I say here, the berserkers have been activated. So the enemy troops will now be... our troops now will now have their morale dropping a lot because those berserkers are there. You can see there, can you see that one Spartan unit retreating, routing there, and all of those Spartan have now routed. Okay, so now basically our right flank and right centre have now been broken. Okay, now make no mistake about it, our right flank and right centre has now been broken after a fierce fight, and the enemy will now look to roll us up from right to left. Okay, a lot of enemy troops here now have now, as I say, taken out our allies, and we'll now look to move over to the right and start to as I say, roll us up from right to left. Okay, as say, a lot of enemy troops there, including those big clump of Germanic archers that will be shooting loads of fire arrows and ordinary arrows into us as well. You've got some enemy Carthage, those moving round shield cavalry that we were talking about, that in behind us, taking out our archers. As I say, there's a lot of activity there on that right flank in regard of the enemy team. But as I say, on the left flank here, we've taken out the enemy Scipii army and are now moving over to the enemy Carthage army there, which we'd like to take out. Take those Carthage Sacred Band units out, including that Carthage Sacred Band general as well, before his allies can get over from our right flank, and that would be a big bonus for us there. You can see I'm running my Julii infantry over. Okay, I'm going to try and run past him. I'm going to throw some units. I'm going to throw some units into the rear of those engaged Carthage Sacred Band, as well as hitting some into the flank as well. Okay, so I'm hitting them in the flank and in the rear with my Julii units there. Okay, let's just pause again for a second. So we're trying to surround these Carthage Sacred Band units there, try and take them out. As I say, if we can take those units out, including that Sacred Band general, then that'd be pretty good. If you notice, those troops, the Carthage were saying distraught by enemy numbers. Okay, so their morale has already dropped because of the amount of numbers that we've got in comparison to them at this particular part of the battlefield. So they are susceptible now to routing, with their morale being so low due to being distraught by enemy numbers. Okay, so we're really pushing them. See, distraught by enemy numbers there is what they're thinking. They're tired as well, and we're just charging in now from all directions. And it wouldn't surprise me if we can get that Carthage general to rout, then I'm guessing that that clump of Carthage Sacred Band spearmen will completely rout. Right, you can see us pushing in there. Right, you can see the Carthage general has now been routed, and we're pushing them from all directions here. And those Sacred Band units have now all been routed, which is good news for us. So you can see the volume of fire arrows coming in from those Germanic archers there. And we've just killed the Carthage general as well there, so that's good for us. So we've done well on our left flank and left centre, but the enemy has done well on our right flank and right centre. So let's just pause again for take stock of exactly what's happening. So there's our troops there. Remember, we're the red Julii and Greek cities. The enemy are Carthage, Germania and SBQR troops there. Okay, there's a lot of still a lot of them left. And the berserkers have attacked. Can you see, luckily for us, they're attacking a spear unit. Okay, now like we said in other battle videos before, you can see that one Roman trooper has been smashed up into the air by a berserker unit. Okay, but as we said in other battle videos, barbarian troops, including berserkers, die quickly when facing spears or pikes. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me, how well we're doing at that particular state battle. But as you can see, the enemy troops there have moved over from our right flank to attack us here. I see Mystique still got some units left that Mystique's throwing in there against the enemy SBQR troops. It wouldn't surprise me if the Carthage guys started to bring his units here around our flank and rear. Okay, remember in RTW the rear are the most soft spots of enemy units, and that's where you try and attack if you can, and that's why Bark has brought his Sacred Band spearmen around here to attack into the flank of our troops. Okay, but I've seen that, and if you notice, I've run some of my Julii units out to try and counter that move. Okay, do you see the Carthage spears going down there? He attacked with just his swords to start off with, and then when he got into contact, put his down. Okay, spears are always a lot better to fight with than swords in regard of pike and spear units. See the enemy SBQR infantry up there? Now if he runs that infantry down quickly, you can smash into the flank and rear of our engaged troops there. Okay, so that's what the enemy need to be looking at there, is to bring that enemy SBQR infantry and cavalry down there to attack into the flank and rear. See Bark here is attacking really aggressively with his Sacred Band there, forcing us to face him there, and that opens our flank and rear up to possible attack from the enemy troops. Okay, so as I say, those enemy SBQR troops, let's just pause again for a second. So as you can see here, can you see our troops are in the Carthage Sacred Band, alright? Okay, so our flank, and he's facing backwards there, can you see our flank and rear is exposed to an enemy hit. If those SBQR troops run in there quickly, they can hit into the rear and flank of our troops there. and that would cause a major problem for our troops that are already engaged with Carthage Sacred Band. Okay, plus you've got enemy Germanic archers out there attacking, I think, the last of Mystique's infantry. Okay, can you see those Germanic archers have been alt-attacked? You see they've got their swords or little daggers out there that they're fighting Mystique's units. Okay, so the Germanic general there feels that he can take out those battle-damaged Julii units with his archers in alt-attack mode. Right, so as I say here, you can see we're pressing forward against Carthage Sacred Band, but can you see that enemy SBQR infantry coming down? Now, if he charges in quickly, he can charge the rear of our engaged troops. See, they're straight in, run straight in there and attack straight into the rear of our troops, and that would cause us major problems there. May even rout my general. Notice my Julii generals at the back there. They could charge straight in there if he moves fast. Now, where we're engaging the Carthage Sacred Band there, that would be a good opportunity. He's throwing pilers in, but he really needs to alt-attack and throw his infantry in there, I think. Veterans watching this, what do you reckon? Yeah, I think that might have been the best move there, but now we're starting to take out these Sacred Band. We can now turn and face the threat enemy SBQR troops if we wish to. Okay, most of those Sacred Band troops have now been taken out. I think there's just one unit of those Sacred Band spearmen left. Right, can you see the SBQR general is now throwing his army forward there? Okay, but we can now turn most of our units now to face the threat from those SBQR units. Okay, and you can see, as I say, the firepower from those Germanic archers are really pouring in on us here, causing a lot of casualties. But here you can see one of the SBQR Eagle units has just been routed. Remember what we said earlier, if you're going to bring an Eagle unit, keep it out of the fight until you really have to use it, because they just got no... when they're up against urban cohorts or elite Spartan units, they're not going to be able to kind of cut the mustard, if you see what I mean, when it comes to fighting them. And I say there's a lot of Germanic archers there, loads of fire arrows into my cavalry. My battle-depleted cavalry have already taken a lot of casualties and have just taken a lot more from archers there. But as you can see here, there's another one of the SBQR Eagle units that's just routed. Okay, so that's more morale that the SBQR team has just lost. You see that Spartan unit glowing there? That Spartan unit has just got a battlefield promotion. Now remember, if a unit does well in battle, it gets a promotion, which is an experience stripe. So that's pretty good there. And as I say, we're doing quite well against the SBQR infantry. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as I say here, you can see we've got a lot of our infantry here up against the SBQR infantry. And there's a lot of enemy cavalry roaming the battlefield here, okay? So cavalry-wise, I think the enemy have got the upper hand. Okay, plus they got all those archers shooting into us from different angles. But as you can see here, definitely the enemy have got the cavalry dominance here on the battlefield at this stage. But both our Greek cities, as you see that Spartan unit glow again, so that just got a battlefield promotion, a stripe there. As I say, when units do really good on RTW, they get a battlefield promotion, which is a stripe, okay, which gives them an experience stripe, makes them fight even better. But as you can see here, the Germanic archers here are shooting loads of fire arrows into us all the time. We're trying to take out this enemy SBQR infantry if you can. Can you see I've run my Julii infantry forward there in an aggressive attacking mode there towards those SBQR troops? Alright, that's the last, I think, the bulk of the enemy infantry there. If we can take those SBQR troops out, then that would be doing our team a big favour. So that's what we're going to try and do there. Okay, trying to take out those SBQR troops. Right, just pause the game for a second. So here you can see we're fighting the infantry. Can you see my battle depleted over there? 5 men in that one unit, 11, 21 in that. And I'm going to be chased by superior numbered cavalry. Okay, so really it's my cavalry now are so outnumbered by enemy cavalry that I think they could prove a little bit ineffective there against so many enemy cavalry. So okay, meanwhile here we've routed the SBQR general and we've done what we wanted to. We've routed a lot, well, all by the looks of it, of the enemy SBQR infantry here, okay? Right, you can see I've charged a couple of my cavalry units into the enemy SBQR cavalry, and I've still got a couple of battle-depleted cavalry units left, which I'm sure will be taken out soon. Okay, now at this stage of the battle, as you can see here, I've got a couple of cavalry units left. But here, can you see, what do you think we should do now? Should we chase the enemy archers. Is that what you would do? Okay, we've taken, I think, all of the enemy infantry now. So if we just kind of run forward, we could attack the enemy archers. Is that something that you'd think about doing? Maybe all of us could run forward, attack the enemy archers, maybe go for the enemy cavalry. Okay, well, I think maybe that might not be a good idea, because those archer units will outrun our heavy infantry. Okay, and those cavalry will just run away from our infantry, and all the time as we're running forward we'll be shot at by enemy archers, depleting our units, lowering the morale of our units. And then of course the cavalry would be doing hits on our units there, straight in, smash in and retreat. And of course that would then, we'd have our units then routed by a mixture of archer depleting fire and cavalry depleting hits. Okay, so really, sometimes in battle, the only thing you can do is what I say is box up. Okay, and what that means is you form a defensive box. Now, some people call them a noob box, but I call them what they are really, is a defensive formation box. Okay, a defensive box. And sometimes you need to do that. As I say, trying to chase down archers and cavalry, all you do is tire your troops right out. They'd be whittled away by enemy archer fire, and then when the cavalry hit them, they would rout. Okay, so at this stage of the battle, the only thing, the best tactical thing that we can do here is, as I say, is to box up and form a defensive system. Okay, the veterans watching this, my guess is you'd probably agree with it at this stage of the battle, is for us to form up into a defensive box with all that cavalry and archer units out there, enemy cavalry and archer units. There's the last of my cavalry units there, just been taken out. Okay, see that one July cavalry unit of mine keep fighting. It's just been taken out there. So there you can see now. Okay, now forming a defensive box up is not something that lightly with all those archers around, because obviously when you form a defensive box, the enemy will be moving those archers around to target the rear and flank of our troops. Okay, and the moment you go into a defensive box situation, you hand the initiative to the enemy, of course, because then it's all you can do is like kind of stand there and take what they do to you. So as I say, you do hand the initiative to the enemy, but as I say, sometimes in battle you do need to box up and you do need to form a defensive form. It's what I think Trajan and myself will do at this stage of the battle. But make no mistake, the Germanic archers especially will be moved around the battlefield to target the rear and flank of our troops and cause as many casualties as they can. As you can see, the enemy are cavalry and archer dominant. I think they've got a couple of infantry units left, but as I say, at this stage of the battle, the best thing that Trajan and myself can do is to form up into a tight box form and let the enemy come to us. It should be an interesting one to watch. Okay, at this stage of the battle here, you can see that Trajan and myself have formed up into a defensive box formation here. Okay, as I say, make no mistake, the enemy will be moving their archers around here to target the rear and flank of our units. Okay, so as I say, the moment you go into a defensive box formation, you hand the initiative to the enemy. All you can do is just try and tighten up your battle formation as you can, trying to cover any, shall we say, delicate places in the formation that could be attacked. Okay, so you're always looking at your defensive formation. You're seeing if you can bolster any weak spots in your formation. But as I say, all the time the enemy will be targeting us with archer fire. I see they're using fire arrows. Remember, fire arrows don't do as much damage as ordinary arrows do, but they do bring a fear factor, lowering the morale of our troops. Okay, now you could think to myself, should I put my units into testudo? Okay, now it's something I thought about, but of course the problem is when you put it into testudo, if you need to move units fast to bolster up certain parts of your formation, you've got to take them out of testudo, then move them. So it kind of slows down your reaction speed with your units. So I tend to like to try and keep them in normal formation as long as I can. Of course, if they start targeting my general, which is a very very big possibility, then I may well just put my general into testudo there to protect him. Let's just pause again for a second. So as I say here, you can see our defensive box here. You can see the Germania general moving his archers around the battlefield there, trying to target us. Can you see the charred bodies here, the dead charred bodies? Okay, that's where our troops have been killed by fire arrows. Obviously, they've been set fire to by fire arrows, and that's why they're the charred bodies there. But you can see the enemy are cavalry dominant and archer dominant at this stage of the battle. And with all that cavalry charge bonus there, and let's say they will deplete our units with archer fire. As you can see there, they're shooting into us all the time, so our units are going to be battle depleted. So therefore their morale will be lower. If that cavalry charge is in there with all that cavalry charge bonus, and they start a few of our units routing, then it could start a chain rout within our formation there. Luckily we've got both our generals still alive, so both our generals in our armies good morale bonus, so that's a good point for us. As I say, if we lost our generals, we wouldn't have obviously no morale there, and that would lessen the chance of us being able to hold this box there. You can see the enemy, as I say, they can just walk around our formation all they want, because as I say, the moment you form up these box formations, you do, as I say, hand the initiative to the enemy there. As I say, time there, we're trying to tighten up our formation there. You might notice every now and again we're moving in units closer. I've still got some pilots left, which I'm surprised at. I'm throwing at the enemy cavalry there. But as I say, the enemy will be moving, let's just pause the game for a second, will be moving units around. As I say, I know a lot of people may well put their Rome units into testudo, but as I say, that does slow your reaction time down, and if you're being hit in any particular part of that formation, you may need to move infantry quickly. And of course, by the time you take them out of testudo and move them to that point, that could cost you the battle. So I'm going to leave them in normal formation for the time being. Okay, at this stage of the battle here, you can see that the Germanic general has moved his archers round here, shooting into the rear and the flank of our units. Okay, so you can see those fire arrows, the damage that they're doing as they're hitting us. I just thought that's interesting to see as those arrows are shooting into us. As I say, he will be targeting the rear and flank of our units here because he knows that it causes the most damage. Now remember, those Spartans have got 2 hit points, so they will suffer less damage to missiles than what my troops will. Right, can you see he's targeting my general? If you notice there, my general units in my general are going to start going down. So I'm thinking that probably the best thing to do with my general unit is to put that into testudo, because as I say, I'm pretty sure those Germanic archers will be targeting my general there. As I say, they'd be more inclined to target my troops rather than the Spartans there, because of the two hit points that the Spartans have got, and obviously, as I say, the archers' damage will be less on the Spartans than it is on my troops. Okay, but as I say, in the moment I notice that they start targeting my general big time, then I will move into testudo. Right, can you see? I'm putting my general unit into testudo here. Okay, that will now ensure that I shouldn't suffer any more casualties from archer fire. Okay, so as you can see here, my general unit is now in testudo, and that is now so that I keep my general alive, give him a morale bonus to my troops, and now I shouldn't suffer any more casualties from archer fire. Okay, so they can target him all day if they want. Now he won't suffer any more damage. But as I say, there's a lot of enemy cavalry units there. Remember, with all that cavalry charge bonus, their troops are fresh, and when they charge into our battle depleted units, it should be interesting to see. As I say, luckily we've still got our generals, both our generals alive still, to be able to give us our troops that general morale bonus. But as you can see, our units are being depleted by those fire arrow shooting. Okay, at this stage of the battle here, you can now see the enemy troops have moved in closer to our little box formation here. Okay, all the enemy troops now have moved in, and I think that pretty soon they will be ready to attack us. Okay, as you can see, you might notice here our box formation has got smaller due to battle casualties. Okay, as our units are being battle depleted, we're having to pull in tighter there to try and cover the box there more, you know, where there's weak points in the box there. But as you can see here, the enemy's still shooting fire arrows into us, still lowering our morale and still causing casualties. And as I say, the enemy looks set to attack at any time. Okay, at this stage of the battle here, let's just pause again for a second. Can you see that the enemy SPQR general has put his units into wedge formation? Okay, now wedge formation there, can you see when it hits, they get more impact and do more damage to the enemy. So that's why he's put his units into those wedge formations there. Okay, I think most of the enemy archers are out of arrows now. There might be just a couple of units still shooting. They're not going to attack till they've fired all their arrows, obviously causing as many casualties as they can to us before they attack. But as you can see, our little defensive box there being battle depleted all the way around. See the black charred bodies there of how many troops we've lost? But you can see there that we're moving in, trying to tighten that box up all the time. As I say, all the black charred troops there that we've lost. Make no mistake, our units have been battle depleted by the archer fire that we've taken. So our morale will be a bit low there due to the casualties that we've got. But we have, as I say, still got our 2 generals there giving morale bonus to the troops we've got left. So I'm hopeful here that we might be able to hold. But looking at all those cavalry and all the cavalry charge bonus that's going to hit us, I think that this is very much going to be a 50-50 on whether we're going to hold or whether we're going to fail. Okay, I think we're at the end game now. Can you see that they're starting to charge in units? At any stage now, I'm expecting the main battle to charge in. Right, can you see units charging? Did you see that Eagle unit rout on impact there? Okay, but can you see the other unit? See that Germanic cavalry going in and bangs! That cavalry smashes into us there. That's a massive hit there by those cavalry. And can you see all the SPQR cavalry charging in? As that cavalry goes in, they're charging their infantry in as well. Those archers have been alt-attacked, they're charging in as well. Are we going to hold or are we going to fold here? I can see one of my units routing, one of my Greek cities allies units routing there. I can see the enemy really pushing into us here. I think we've just killed the Germanic general, which is good. Remember, barbarian troops' morale's low anyway, and by killing the general there, we would have cause their morale to become lower anyway and make them more susceptible to routing. Okay, it looks like we've managed to weather the storm of that massive cavalry and archer alt attack there. Bang, as that SPQR cavalry charges straight in there. You can see the amount of enemy cavalry, dead cavalry around us there where they charged in. Well, our box formation has managed to hold there and weather the storm of that massive cavalry hit and those alt attack archer charging in as well. I see there's still one Germanic archer unit left with some arrows, but as you can see here now, we've it looks like we've managed to go on to win the battle. Make no mistake there, the tactic of forming up a box defense there probably won the game for us in one respect, helped to win the game for us in one respect there, because as I say, if we just started to try and chase our cavalry and archers around with our infantry, they would have got exhausted, they'd have been whittled down by archer fire and cavalry hits, and we would have probably lost the battle. Right, I just want to show you there. Remember, this is where the formation was here. See all the dead, charred bodies. That's how many casualties we were taking from those archers that were shooting at us all the time. But also, can you see the enemy dead cavalry all around us as well, where they smashed into us there? But somehow we managed to hold against all that cavalry charge bonus. And bearing in mind, we have got battle depleted units that had been depleted by all that arrow fire there. I thought we did good. Okay, because you can see there, it's a close victory as we thought it would be. Just managed to hold there. Hope you enjoyed this battle. I thought showing the defense was quite interesting. See Trajan's kills, 12 off of 2,000. Okay, so Trajan just by 12 kills didn't quite get to the... Aurelius's kills, really good, 1,672. So really well done to them. I think the enemy kills did quite well. Scorpion King Esar probably didn't get the kills he wanted, 811. That's probably, as I say, that's not the kills that he wanted. Mystique probably didn't get the kills that Mystique wanted there, but still did very well. I thought Scorpion King and Mystique did well there to reduce the enemy numbers as they did, and help us out, big time there for when we formed up our defensive box. But just like I say, really well played to Bark, really well played to Aurelius, really well played to Deathcore, and really well played to Aaron. Really well played, guys, but also really well done to Mystique, King and Trajan. Hope you enjoyed this unusual battle. Please leave a comment if you like. Always nice to read what you think about our battles. This is Spartan Commander saying bye.